Hello and welcome back to Vox Terra. The show's purpose it is to get politics focused on the long-term survival of the species. Now, you probably know by now that many of us in the environmental movement are very upset with the Trump administration for how they've been handling the environment. So, I'm a little bit irritated, for lack of a better way of putting it, to hear this constant repetition coming from the administration and aligned media outlets and aligned politicians, or they say, oh, nobody knew COVID-19 was coming. Nobody knew this pandemic was coming. So that's not true, I don't think, in the short term or the long term. Now, in terms of the long and medium term, let me share with you a couple of headline articles. So here, from apparently published in 2011, a book called The Viral Storm: The Dawn of a New Pandemic Age. So this book was reviewed in the Guardian News. And in the Guardian, here the Guardian reviewed the book, and apparently most of the blame was being laid at the foot of factory farming. Here's how that works. We have more domestic animals alive today than in the past 10,000 years of domestication through 1960. Yet these animals are crammed together in fewer farms than ever before, providing microbes with unparalleled opportunities to infect them. And then these microbes would then transmit to people. They also provide, this is interesting, viruses multiply quickly and have high mutation rates. Okay, viruses multiply quickly and have high mutation rates. Now, I point out that simple piece of science because really, it's COVID-19, but it could have been something else. Okay, viruses mutate rapidly. One of these days, we're all sitting there thinking a common cold is going to become something deadly. And that's happened. They rapidly generate the genetic raw material necessary to create distinct strains capable of infecting new host populations. Then there's something called gene swapping. Animals are sometimes infected by a number of different viruses at the same time. They can act as a living laboratory where different types of viruses trade genetic information. So this novelty underlies the sudden appearance of new human pathogens. And again, the author here was mainly in the Viral Storm, published in 2011, I believe, which was reviewed by The Guardian in 2012. The author was mainly, laying the blame for the new age of pandemic we're entering at the feet of factory farming and a lot of global trade. Okay, but those are two things environmentalists have typically opposed, even though anti-environmentalists like to say, oh, we environmentalists are part of some big conspiracy for global domination or global something or other, even though we opposed historically these big trade deals. And I pointed that out in other videos. So big trade, factory farming. But here, look. Going all the way back to, and I'm sure I could find references, I've seen them way earlier, okay, going back to the 1990s. State of the Planet, Earth Institute, Columbia University. How climate change is exacerbating the spread of disease, 2014. And in this article, the main idea is that extreme weather climate change is bringing on with drought, dry to then flood, creates conditions for new mosquito outbreaks, and that heating planet creates the conditions for different types of mosquitoes carrying different diseases to migrate to areas they didn't used to before. But the main point of this video is, look, 2014, 2011, and Time. Now, I don't normally like to cite the dominant news media outlets, but, they're considered credible, and in some ways they are. Time. The world is not ready for the next pandemic. May 14th, 2017, quoting now, since President Donald Trump took office, key government positions remain unfilled, including a new director for the CDC. The budget the president proposed in March would have slashed critical funding at the Department of Health and Human Services by $15.1 billion. In fact, look, I've heard this for a lot of years, different Republicans, and I would love to see green Republicans, okay, but this has been the history for a while now. A lot of Republicans wanted to, I've even heard the idea floated around about getting rid of the CDC altogether, what it needed for a big government, yada, 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 okay? So, including deep cuts to the National Institute of Health, which underwrites more infectious disease research than any other agency in the world. So you've got short-term, the Trump administration cutting back some of these programs, And then longer term, longer medium term, I just showed you a number of articles, and I've heard it for years now. Climate change, deforestation, factory farming, global trade, ushering in an era of pandemic, right? But all of that has to do with how people are making money, the way they're making it, and that's not on Trump. Challenging that is not on Trump's radar. Okay, you don't hear him talking about let's get a greener economy going here. We need, better research and a fully funded CDC. That's not his way of thinking. It isn't his way of thinking. So in whatever ways people think he's defending them, that's not his way of thinking. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please subscribe, please share. If you'd like to criticize, please do it in a mannerly fashion, okay? I don't really go around insulting people, and it's just anybody can play that game. And if you're into the Bible like I am, it's not biblically sound insulting people. And on that note, until next time, peace be with you.